I love you.
Brought to you by my self-published book, Rain. It is a psychological thriller about a group of young adults in a psych ward who get this new counselor that's trying to understand their mental illnesses and trying to understand them. But then the counselor shortly learns that these kids might not be crazy and that this place is actually making them crazy, all the while trying to figure out what's going on with him and his psychological demons and his problems. If you would like more information about this book, be sure to hit the link in the description box below. Supporting me and buying these books actually helps. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Fiction to Review. So today we're going to talk about The Originals. The Originals is an American fantasy supernatural drama television series that began airing on the CW on October 3rd, 2013. It is a spin-off of The Vampire Diaries and the first television series expansion of the franchise based on its parent series. The creator is Julie Plec. The cast is Joseph Morgan as Klaus Mikaelson, Daniel Gillies as Elijah Mikaelson, Phoebe Tonkin as Haley, Charles Michael as Marcel, Claire Holt as Rebecca, Daniel Campbell as Davina, Leah Pipes as Camille, and a whole spew of other people and more. You can watch this on Netflix, YouTube, Vudu, and Apple TV, and Amazon Prime. Episode 1, Rebirth, opens with Rebecca, and she's telling a tale about the originals, and she's telling this tale to Hope Mikaelson, the baby of Klaus and Haley. Next scene, Haley is going ballistic because she's now a hybrid, and she just doesn't know what to do with herself or how to operate. Next scene after that, it gets into Marcel and Camille, and they're in bed together because why? They just got finished sleeping together. And Camille eventually tells Marcel, like, this is not a serious thing, so don't even think it's serious, because it's not. This is just strictly this, and no one else needs to really know about this. So eventually Haley goes to Elijah and tells her, like, I can't do this, like, this is driving me crazy, like, being a hybrid, I can't deal with this, like, my baby's gone, I'm missing my child. She was already really just distraught about the fact that she lost her child, and not lost her child, but can't be around her kid, and they had to send her away. And Elijah eventually goes to Klaus and tells him, you need to talk to Haley, and you need to tell her whatever you need to tell her. Whatever you need to tell her, you tell her now. Tell her what she needs to hear in order for this to be and go right. So Klaus decides, as Klaus does, I'm gonna, fall into this and do what I have to do. But of course, everything he does is to his own satisfaction. So he tells Haley, you need to be the queen of wolves. Which I feel like is good, because if she becomes queen of the wolves, since they have a child, the child will be protected, but also she'll have control of the wolves, and he'll ultimately have control of the wolves. And we all know that's what he really wants. Also, what I really noticed is that Tyr's bait, empathy, sympathy works so well on Elijah, especially when it comes down to Klaus. And I feel like he knows that. It also works with Haley too, but Klaus be playing him. And I don't know if it's because he's the older brother, but it works every time. Every single time. Episode 2, Alive and Kicking. The Mikaelsons are back, and they did not come to play. They're ready to kill their enemies once again. So Klaus is deciding to help Haley kind of sink into her hybridness, because he's a hybrid, he's the original hybrid, and Elijah is not feeling it. He's like, no, we need to connect her with her people, the wolves at the bayou. Like, what is going on? What are you guys doing? And Haley is like, oh, you don't approve, Elijah? Well, I don't really care. I'm a hybrid now, so deal with it. And Elijah is just, he's not feeling it. He's like, I feel like he misses the old Haley. Like, he misses when she was a wolf more so than as a hybrid, and it's just like, no. In the next scene, Davina has the Mikaelson father locked up like a prisoner, and it's actually really funny the scenes with them, and they kind of built like this connection, but also not a connection. But I found it really amusing watching those two go back and forth. Next scene after that, Cole is back and ready to get revenge on his brothers. This is such a Mikaelson tradition. If they're not out to kill each other, then what are they doing, right? That's the plot of almost every season, and especially when they were on the Vampire Diaries, that was always the plot, like sibling rivalry. But they take it real far, like especially Klaus is like he has to kill a sibling every other 5 episodes or every season, always and forever. Insert quote. Next scene, some vamps have made an alliance with the wolves because wolves they want rings so they don't have to worry about turning on the full moon. And it ends up um, releasing her prisoner because she needs help, and he goes savage beast mode on the vamps that tried to kill her. And in the end, the Mikaelsons find out that both their parents are back in town, and it's just a family reunion. Not quite the family reunion that you would think, but it's a family reunion nonetheless. Episode 3, Mother Son, they get an invitation from the mom Mikaelson. Esther, she transfers into a new body. She ends up, I believe, Haley goes to see her and she tells Haley, oh, she captures her. I don't even remember. I've watched so many different things. But, yeah, they end up coming face to face and she tells Haley, like, you could be put into a new body. You don't have to worry about being a hybrid. You can be a normal person. You can live out your days. You can be with your baby, you know. It all sounds good, right? And it does get Haley thinking, and I believe she talked to Elijah about it. And he's just like, oh, was it? She talked to one of the Mikaelson brothers. I don't know if it was Elijah or Klaus. And they're like, no. Oh, then it gets to Klaus coming face to face with Esther. And he says this like really poetic, deep, and I know it like stung his mom. He says, you are the author of everything that I hate. Ooh, the hate is deep. And in the end, Elijah is teaching this new vamp how to basically be a vampire. Somebody that Marcel has turned, who I believe she volunteered to be a vampire. Episode 4, Live and Let Die. So Michael, the Mikaelson father, the evil man, who's not actually Klaus's real dad, he decides he's going to teach Davina how to fight because he's like, you're weak. Like, you can't fight. Yeah, you can do magic, and that's cute, but that's only half of your strength. And he basically teaches her how to fight. So next scene, Klaus goes to Camille as his therapist, and it's kind of sad because they use her as a therapist and she's the only human. But at the same time, I guess I kind of get it, but kind of bad for Camille because Klaus, you know. Davina is falling for Finn, I believe. Just falling for his charm. She doesn't know what she's about to get into. Seeing some wolves, Oliver and Aiden end up going to Marcel and some other vamps because they basically don't want to go to war and they work together with them. Klaus shows up, comes from Michael, his father who hates him, who's not really his father, and he says, let's go, let's get it, it's war. And he stabs them, and Michael, he's not dead. Episode 5, Red Door. Elijah is chained up by his mom. It's a shame that Elijah is getting tortured for the things that Klaus has done. I mean, I know she did call her entire clan of children an abomination, and they do hate each other, but dang, Elijah didn't deserve it. Like, it would have been best if it was Niklaus. Speaking of Niklaus and his other brother, Cole, they officially meet, and Michael is free again. Free again. So Davina eventually finds out the truth about Cole. The truth's gonna come out either way. And she finds out that he's really a Mikaelson and he's not this person that he told her that he was. And the actor who plays Cole, he also plays Isaac on Teen Wolf. And on that show he uses an American accent in Teen Wolf. But I know he has an accent just as a regular person, and I feel like, I don't know if he was using his regular accent for this show, but it sounded a little different than his normal talking accent, and I just was like, what is this accent? Like, I don't know if it was like putting on a little too hard, or he was like imitating another accent while speaking his accent. I don't know what it was. I can't quite put my finger on it. So Davina and the others end up taking out Michael. He ends up fleeing. They don't fully take him out, but they battle him, and he ends up fleeing. And it ends with the scene with the mom, Esther, basically saying to Elijah, who's chained up, that the only way that you're gonna get out of this is my way. My way or the highway. Episode 6, Wheel Inside Wheel. So Klaus shows up face to face with his mom. He comes to get Elijah, and he's basically just like, I'm about to take you out of here. And in the next scene, Haley and Jackson meet face to face, the beginning of a love story. Klaus's mother basically tells him the origin of himself and how he came to be, and she offers him a deal basically. And she basically offers him a deal, and she's like, you can be a werewolf, live out your days as a werewolf. Wouldn't that be a great thing to do? I know there's still good in you. And she's just hoping that he will take that, and we all know that's not gonna happen. Yeah, so the mom basically tells Klaus that you can go take Elijah, he's gonna wake up, and then he ends up coming face to face with his real father, who's a werewolf, who was with Jackson, kind of coaching and guiding Jackson. So there's definitely some jealousy there you'll see throughout the episodes. But the most messed up part about this is that at first he was in denial, and he was like, no, you're not my dad, no, you're not my father, I didn't want to hear this. Insert scene. He's basically like, I don't want to hear this. No. And then when he starts to believe it, he still doesn't care. He's like, yeah, you're my dad, and I don't care. So, like, damn, that's cold. And at the end of this episode, we learned that the mom actually had another kid named Thalia, who basically was taken because they didn't want because there was some sort of ritual thing, or they didn't want her to have, I don't know, it was something going on with, like, they take every one out of a certain amount of children, and they took her, and yeah, she shows up later. Episode 7, Chasing the Devil's Tail. So Klaus is trying to get into Elijah's head to help him to get him out of this coma, but due to Esther's sort of warping thing on him, he is locked out. Jackson is going through it. He's drinking. He doesn't know what to do. Haley kind of comes and talks to him. Davina and Finn, they're getting closer and closer. Davina and Cole? I think I'm mixing their names up. Next scene, worst part. So Klaus, he had all this denial about his dad, but then he kills his dad in this episode. And like, when he does it, he's like emotional, crying, and then he's just like sucks it up and just goes back to his dark, cold exterior. And I'm like, damn, that's effed up. He pretty much cries, lashes out, kills him, and then he's like, alright, moving on. And he ends up getting Elijah out of his hallucination. Jackson and Haley have their first time real moment. Round of applause, hand clap. We love it. We love to see it. She's basically like, you know, the girl that you wanted to marry back then, the girl that you knew, the tomboy that you knew, she's dead. She's changed. The girl that you waited for is basically gone. And he's like, I know. You're better. And I'm just like, I love me Jackson. Just like, why is Jackson so sweet? It's perfect. He's perfection. This was a great episode. So many things happen, because then after Elijah comes back, Klaus basically tells Elijah like, yeah, I killed my dad, and no hesitation, I did it for my daughter, and I really don't care. And it's like, yeah, we get it, he might have did it for hope, you know, but it's also like Elijah just straight up justifies the reason. And he basically justifies what he did, and basically like, you had to do what you had to do. And it's like the reasoning made no logical sense. he's just psychotic, and his brother just agreed with it, and I'm like, so, family reunion. I just love this episode how everyone's talking Shakespearean, being that they're basically from the 17th and 60th century. I just love everything about it. The whole Victorian, the way that their house is. Yeah. So Haley learns that she can marry Jackson, protect her pack, and Jackson's like, it's not what you think, we just don't get married and boom, like that's it, like this is like a bound forever type of ritual, and if you don't respect it and don't honor it, it's not gonna work. And he's basically like, are you really up for this? He kind of challenges her, and I think that might have been what got her to be like, I'm gonna do it. Of course her expression says otherwise, and it's like, oh, I don't know if I could do all that, and he's just like, yeah, I thought so. But in the end, Haley decides she's gonna do it. She's gonna marry Jackson. Finn's locked up in a casket, and Klaus tells Haley, let's go see her daughter. It's on. Episode 9, the map of moments. Haley gets to see Hope again, and it's a great reunion. I just being haunted by his demons, aka his mother's hallucination tortures. Haley has to basically go to Elijah. She tells him, there's a way that Hope can come back. We can save the family. We can save Hope. We can save my pack. But there's a catch. I actually have to marry Jackson. Of course, he at first is like, what the? But he accepts it and it's like, you need to do what you need to do. I need to do what I need to do. They just have wild, passionate sex, and yeah. Even though she basically says we can't be involved anymore, I have to go, they still end up sleeping together. So the Mikaelsons, ending towards the end of this episode, coming to an end, the Mikaelsons go against their mom. They take her out, but she's just like, I already chosen another body. The mom is a boss. Shout out to the lady that plays the mom. She was just giving boss energy the every episode she was in. And instead of the mom waking up in another body, Klaus locks her up, and Rebecca dies, but then she wakes up in another body. Episode 10, gonna set your flag on fire. So Klaus is actually narrating this episode, and we see Camille with the baby, Hope. Michael seeks revenge with the help of Finn. So next scene, Jackson basically tells Haley, like, I want to get to know the real you. Like, I'm down to do this. Let's do it. Haley, of course, is afraid, but he's like, I want to get to know you, the real you, every part of you, and let's do this. Finn ends up entrapping the wolves and the vamps together to set them all up to go again. Haley tells Jackson that she slept with Elijah, and he asks her, like, are you in love with him? Like, even though he already knows the answer and everyone knows the answer, she doesn't really respond. But shout out to Jackson, because he loved her through everything, every trial, error, every mistake. Not to say that he's perfect either, but Jackson, the realest alive. Rebecca, where she's locked out in some sort of asylum, she tries to like send a message to her brothers. The vampires and the wolves about to go to war. So the vampires are starting to crave blood big time. Davina does a spell to break the curse on the wolves, and Klaus, as Klaus does, he leaves Cole behind with the vamps, and he's like, you're a traitor anyway, like, see you. Like, what do they expect from Klaus? Seriously, what do they expect? He plays them every time. Basically, Davina looks at Marcel like, please, like this sad puppy dog face, like, don't save Cole. And then she smiles when she realizes that he tells Cole, like, you better go, like, get away from the vampires. Okay, and the next scene is just too freaking cute. Jackson comes to Haley and he's like, I have loved you before I even knew you. He apologizes, he comes to her, and he's like, you just was telling me the truth. And I'm just like, I don't understand this man. Klaus ends up finding that his mom is gone. Finn speaks of his dead parents' body because here he's channeling their energy. Ends with Freya, the other sister who responds to Rebecca, the pieces, some sort of magic. Episode 11, Brotherhood of the Damned. So Marcel basically tells Klaus in this episode, like, he's been bit, and he starts having flashbacks of when he was in war and he was in battle against the Germans, and Klaus is like, I'm gonna get you my blood, like, stay strong. So Davina and Klaus kind of bicker back and forth, and she's basically like, we need to help Cole. And Jackson decides he's gonna take Haley to meet his grandmother. Haley is kind of spooked because Jackson tells her more about what's gonna happen and how they have to share secrets basically, and she's like, I can't really share my secrets. She eventually tells him I can't share my secrets because my secrets are not really my secrets to tell. And the literally cutest, my favorite scene of the entire show happens, and he goes after her and he's like, your secrets are my secrets, your demons are my secret, your demons are my demons, and you won't have to fight them alone ever again. Like, so cute. Yeah, Marcel gets the vamps in check. It's like, yo, let's go, let's keep it together, as they basically walk down the streets of New Orleans. And despite him fainting, he's actually a really good leader. So one of the guys, Aiden Oliver, whatever his name is, he ends up telling Klaus what's gonna happen at the ceremony with Jackson and Haley. It's like, he's such a snitch and a traitor, but it was kind of an innocent response. But it's also like, and Klaus decides, I'm gonna drop by and give him a hands out to the bayou. Episode 12, Sanctuary. Sister shows up in the intro scene. Klaus shows up to Haley, where Haley is at. Also, he's also jealous and shows his jealousy because Jackson's like, oh, that's what this is about. You mad because your daddy was guiding and coaching me and he wasn't there for you? I just love a good burn to Niklaus because he be acting so childish. But Niklaus is basically like, you're using Haley anyway for her hybrid powers, you don't really like her. And Jackson's like, nah, like, I'm in love with her, like, this is more and deeper than me just wanting to be connected to her hybridness. At this point, Klaus is just ridiculous and completely jealous, and he needs to grow up. Oh my goodness. Tantrum. It's like a tantrum 3-year-old. Haley basically ends up coming to Jackson's rescue, and then next scene, Rebecca finds out that the girl is her sister. Finn curses Cole to not be able to switch bodies after death. And Cole and Marcel learn that Hope is actually alive, that Niklaus, his daughter, is not dead. Episode 13, The Devil is Damned. I think this is the episode where it's like, the devil inside, every one of us, the devil inside. I like that song. So Finn and his sister, they reunite. Thalia, they reunite. Cole goes to Klaus and Rebecca, and he's like, I'm dying, basically. And Marcel ends with telling Haley that Finn knows about her baby. Cliffhanger. The baby Hope actually ends up using her powers to save Camille and stop the car from going inside while Elijah was in there with someone, and it blows up. And Camille turns around and is like, did you just do that? This is technically the second time because when she got scratched. Okay, so episode 14, I love you, goodbye. So like I was saying, the baby heals herself for the second time. The first time she heals herself, she stops the car before Camille and her could run to it where Elijah is and the house blows up. And Camille turns around like, did you just do that? But also this is the second time because the first time she had that scratch and she healed herself and Camille thought that Elijah did it, but no, it was the baby. So next scene, Jackson and Haley get married. Yes. And Haley and Elijah kind of have a moment, and you could tell on his face he's not feeling this. And even like Klaus looks at him and he's like, I know this hurts you. And Haley basically tells Elijah like, I think I can be happy with Jackson. And poor Elijah is just like sad and distraught and kind of weeps and walks away. Jackson ends up giving Haley like this crescent necklace, and he's like, you know, you're wearing Rebecca's dress, you're in Klaus's home, like, you need to have something of your own. We just love Jackson. He's perfect. Like, what can you say? Nothing. Nothing wrong with this man. So they basically say their vows, and their vows are so beautiful. I love the way that they said it and what they said. And once that happens, they kiss, and then they lift the curse that was on the wolves, and all their eyes kind of go
like a yellowish brownish color. She decides she has to figure out a way. She's like, I gotta find a way to help you. Like, you can't die. No, not yet. So last scene, close to the last scene, basically, Jackson and Haley have their beautiful moment because like, what? They're the best couple on this show. They're honestly, Haley and Jackson is better than Haley and Elijah, and I like Elijah, but Jackson and Haley just hit different. We all know the truth. I know a lot of people didn't like those two together, but how can you not like Jackson? Okay, he's everything. So Haley basically says no one's ever told her that they loved her before or that they had love for her and affection her and Jackson. And she says that she felt safe when she was in New Orleans and that when she was pregnant and she saw this wolf. And I'm just gonna assume that it was Jackson watching over her in New Orleans. And I'm just like, he was there since the beginning. In the end, Cole ends up dying, but at least he was with his family. So I feel like at least there was that. Episode 15, They All Ask For You. Rebecca's being attacked. Marcel comes to her rescue. The daughter, who I thought was Talia, but I guess Talia was the girl's name whose body she was in. So many names. So she ends up putting Cole to sleep, and eventually she meets her siblings, and Klaus not feeling it, not with it. He's like, I'm out. See ya. This is not our sister. I don't know her. She says that she's our blood. That means nothing to me. They gotta remember, Klaus will kill his own family members who he do deem as blood. He's been around long enough. What made them think that he was gonna care about this girl? Family or not, it's like, you don't know her. Even if he did. He knows Elijah, he knows Rebecca, he knows Finn, Cole. He still tried to kill them. And his parents. He killed his own dad. Although he says it was for hope, however you want to justify it. Okay. Jackson and Haley get it in, finally. And Klaus in the end whispers in, I think his name's Aiden Oliver. He whispers in this wolf's ear and he's basically like, don't you feel like Jackson is not really a good leader? Don't you feel like you should probably be the leader? Enticing things, manipulating, as he does. And of course this wolf falls for it, and he basically lets him get inside his head, lets the jealousy thus pour out. Episode 16, Save My Soul. So it's discovered that the woman who Rebecca has, the woman whose body Rebecca's in has committed a bunch of crimes. And she's basically wanted like everywhere. The wolf, the one who Klaus whispered in his ear, basically comes to Jackson and tells him how he's not a good alpha and just talking his hateration. So basically he's like, oh, you need to stay up because you might be challenged to be alpha. And Jackson is like, who? By you? Is that by who? And he literally has the nerve to be like, oh no, I'm just looking out for you. Like, stop the lies. We all know that you are trying to take Jackson's place. So next scene, Klaus still basically doesn't trust Talia, and he's like, I don't know, Elijah, just because you and Rebecca trust her doesn't mean I have to, and I won't. And the next scene after that, we learn that Finn's vessel and Rebecca's vessel that they're inhabiting were once married at some point. And Haley goes to Klaus and basically tells him, like, you need to release Jackson from the shackles of you, basically, because he's his own person. Let him be free and not have to answer to you. And yeah, Klaus was pretty annoying in this episode. I was kind of over it, and I was just like, blah blah blah. I don't care anymore. His character doesn't have any character development, and it's kind of getting stale, not gonna lie. Episode 17, Exquisite Corpse. They're trying to stop Dahlia? There we go, Dahlia. And team up with her sister and her mother. A scene happens where Talia sends Marcel and Cole Vessel to get Rebecca. And I'm sure it was definitely inspired by Teen Wolf more for sure, especially the way the scene was just like shot. And they end up saving everyone, and Talia kills Klaus and her mom. Episode 18, Night Has 1,000 Eyes. A witch gets possession of Jackson to basically threaten Haley and the baby. And Klaus shows up, of course, and ends it all. Later on, Jackson is like, Haley, we gotta go. Like, for the baby's sake, we gotta get out of here. And Jackson and Haley basically plan their escape, and Klaus kills Michael in this episode. Episode 19, When the Love Breaks. So Dahlia delivers a message to the Mikaelsons using this older woman who she killed. And Haley has a plan in regards for Hope. Aiden reveals the truth to Jackson, shaking my head. Josh and Davina, at least he came clean. Josh and Davina finds Aiden's dead body. And it's kind of sad because Josh and him were gonna like run away. They had plans together, so it was kind of messed up for Josh. Everyone thinks Klaus killed Aiden, so he basically lies and he basically like, yeah, it was me, I did it. And Elijah tells Klaus that Haley and Jackson are gone and daggers him. Episode 20, City Beneath the Sea. So Josh mourns Aiden. Dahlia shares with Klaus what happened with her. Well, basically the sister is telling the story, and she kind of is holding on this grudge, and it's like they show this flashback of the two sisters and how Esther left Dahlia for Michael, and it's just like that's what this is about. Some old grudge that you held on to that literally happened thousands of years ago, and at this point in life doesn't mean anything. It's not like she like tried to kill her or did something drastic. It's like, this is what this is about. Okay. Yeah, it kind of was like grow up. So Klaus awakens and pulls out the dagger. Jackson gives Haley the ultimatum. He's just like, it's either me or to the Mikaelsons. And she ends up staying with Jackson. One thing about Jackson, he gonna challenge Haley and she gonna stand up to the challenge every single time. Yeah, he was basically like, it's me in the pack, or the Mikaelsons, and she's just like, I'm with the pack. So they mourn and have a proper burial for Aiden. At least they had a funeral for him. So episode 21, Fire with Fire. The pack kneels for Haley, their forever queen. Davina takes her place and stands up to the coven of witches. Klaus works with Dahlia to take everyone out. Haley tells Jack she loves him, and Klaus shows up. And basically, Klaus plus Jack and Haley, they fight. Dahlia shows up to reveal the curse. And now, when it falls noon, well, basically when it's a full moon, once again, the wolves have to suffer. And because Haley has to suffer, they all have to suffer and transform on a full moon. And it ends with Camille telling Elijah, basically, she knows how Klaus is going to kill Dahlia and that it was all planned. Episode 22, Ashes to Ashes. Klaus kills Dahlia and dies for his daughter's sack? I don't know. Rebecca is back. The Mikaelson mom is back. Honestly, this episode, I got to it. Once I got to this episode, I was kind of over it and over the show. I just was like, this show is too long. This season, too many episodes, too long. It's recycled. And it was kind of the same old, quite boring. But I had to finish. Nonetheless, I had to finish. So Dahlia ends up picking up the baby with her magic. She ends up pricking the baby with her magic, and Davina wants revenge after Elijah used her magic to bring back the mom instead of bringing back her boyfriend. And and Marcel's like, let's do this one thing first before you decide to do that. And the sisters basically end up dying together in a poetic Shakespearean way, which was kind of nice. They were dead, but they were like statues and then pretty much turned to dust. Or were they like statues? Rebecca chose to go back to the body, but she also chose to keep the body of the new girl and just kind of hold on to it. And she said her farewell to Marcel. Now, despite the fact that I do think this season in particular, had way too many episodes and it started to drag out towards the end, that this is a fairly good show, and I will be watching season 3, and I recommend that you guys watch it, and I will be reviewing it. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment below, Let me know vampire, hybrid, or wolf and why. Goodbye.